requires the protection of vulnerable species here, native species, and limits the removal of those native plants. It also requires the use of native plants in landscaping and prohibits the introduction of exotic plants that can compete with those native species. Now, if you are interested in learning more, every Saturday at 9 o'clock, they meet right here at City Hall, and they'll give you a tour of the whole property so you can learn about what native plants to put on your property. On Sanibel, meteorologist Andrew Shipley, Fox 4.
Andrew, thank you. And trees and vegetation are also a concern in Charlotte County, so much so that some community members were encouraging people who live there to start replanting, and they could do it for free. Here's how. You first heard about the Florida elms the county was giving away if you watched Fox 4 News at 5 yesterday. Well, we were back out there this morning where more than 200 trees were handed out at the rec center at Centennial Park, as you see here. And if you live in Charlotte County and you're watching and you're like, man, I missed out on some free trees, tomorrow the nonprofit People for Trees will be hosting their 26th annual tree sale at Northport City Hall. It starts at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
And take a look at this. There was another sheriff's office that joined in to raise money for the Special Olympics today. We were actually there as deputies ran for a good cause in Collier County. Look at them smiling while running. Not me, sorry, I'll tell you that. But if it's for a good cause, it's amazing. More than 300 agencies statewide ran to raise money for the games, which will be held in Germany later this year. The crowd cheering those deputies on.
Inflation remains high but continues to ease some. Numbers out today from the government show a key inflation gauge tracked by the Fed rose 0.3% from February to March and 4.6% from a year prior. That's well above the Fed's 2% target rate. Overall, prices ticked up just 0.1% from February to March. That's the smallest monthly increase since last July. Meanwhile, newly released data from the Labor Department shows worker compensation picked up during the first quarter of the year. Employers paid workers 1.2% more in wages and benefits compared to the previous 3 months. Overall, worker wages and salaries rose more than 5% in March from a year earlier. Well, nursing is essential in health care, yet new statistics show nurses are quitting in high numbers, leaving those in the industry worried about the future. Newly released data from the National Council of State Boards of Nursing finds roughly 100,000 nurses left the workplace during the pandemic. About 800,000 more plan to leave within the next 5 years.
Nurses want to feel safe. They want to feel supported and to be able to practice in healthy work environments. They want to know at the end of the day that they didn't miss any care, that they provided the best care possible.
The president of the American Nurses Association calls it a staffing crisis. She says nursing shortages are nothing new, but widespread burnout and stress fueled by the pandemic pushed even more nurses to the brink. Nearly half of those surveyed reported feeling fatigued or burnt out. For nurses who stay, it means even heavier workloads with fewer resources. They say for patients, the outcomes are serious.
We have research that shows for every additional patient that nurses need to take care of above a safe standard, that the mortality of those patients increases for the next 30 days. And so patients should be concerned, the community should be concerned.
Advocates are counting on hospital leaders and legislators to make immediate changes. Just this week, 2 bills that will protect nurses in the workplace were introduced in Congress. New transparency and accountability requirements could be coming to care plans managed by Medicaid. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services is proposing new rules that would set national standards for appointment wait times and require provider payment rates to be disclosed. States would be required to do secret shopper surveys to make sure health plans are complying. Patients are seeing the benefit as robot-assisted heart surgeries increase.
Patients go home, they have less complications, they have less pain.
Where this technology could be headed next.
Still to come here in Fox 4 News at 5, we are taking a look at cracking down on hate crimes.
Yeah, that's what Governor DeSantis is hoping to do with an anti-Semitic bill that was just signed into law from Jerusalem. It is preventing against hate crimes. What this means for us here in Florida, coming up next.
The number of robot-assisted heart surgeries still account for a small percentage of heart procedures across the country, but they're increasing. John Moan takes us inside of an operating room using the technology.
It was just absolutely gorgeous.
Catherine Coombs doesn't get outside as much lately.
And it hasn't had anything in it since 2018.
The 67-year-old Houston woman lives for spring planting, but her flower beds are empty. Health problems forced her to cut back on gardening, withering her ambitions.
And we had rose bushes all up in front. Just everywhere. The yard was beautiful.
Hoping for a fresh bloom outside and back in her life.
I was more breathless. I couldn't walk as far. My legs started swelling really bad.
I think it was December, her last measurement.
Coombs had heart surgery in early March to fix a leaky valve and alleviate thickened heart muscle.
You see, there's the vein.
Her condition, hypercardiomyopathy, normally would require open heart surgery. That means cracking open her chest from the sternum.
Next will be here, so let's just put our ports on.
Currently, the robots serve for us to be able to do the cases and the operations minimally invasively, even more minimally invasive than our previous techniques.
Instead, heart surgeon Danny Ramsey used a robot to provide surgical support for Coombs.
And more importantly, it takes away the surgeon's tremors. So you could move your hand a little bit and the platform doesn't move.
Not the doctor's hands, but those of the robot under his control. Computer-assisted instruments allow him to operate with precision and stillness in a much smaller space.
So it provides a more stable platform, and on top of all of that, it provides a magnified view and 3D image, so you're able to perform the surgeries, I would say, even better than what you would do in the regular technique.
Memorial Hermann Hospital gave Scripps News an inside look at her surgery, which took around 6 hours total. Robots in the operating room are not new. The first procedure using the robot you see here was done in 1998. But the pace of which they're helping heart surgery is accelerating. Critics say the cost of the procedure may be considered a luxury. Some studies suggest $40,000 or higher for the robot alone. But proponents for robot use believe reducing patient time in the hospital and overall recovery time balances out the high-priced, high technology.
And we're starting to see those that are being performed totally endoscopically makes a difference, where we're not rib spreading, where we're just using small incisions, just using only the ports of the robot to be able to do these procedures. Patients go home, they have less complications, they have less pain.
Anything with heart was surprising, especially at my age.
30-year-old high school teacher and cross-country running coach Joseph Christofferson underwent robotic surgery to solve an acute myocardial bridge, when arteries normally supposed to lie on the surface of the heart go through the muscle.
I was in the hospital for, I think it was 6 days total.
If a surgery is open heart, a patient can be in the hospital a week or longer. The entire healing process is up to 2 months.
The average is about 3 days in the hospital, but we have a couple of colleagues across the country that have sent patients home the next day.
Is there any kind of analogy for a lay person that describes what you're able to do going through this, like in terms of like if you scaled it up?
So, the best way is trying to build a ship in a bottle. Is they're working with these shafted instruments, trying to put the ship together in a bottle through a small incision. That's how minimally invasive heart surgery was being done, and that's the best analogy. Now, the robotic approach is through that small incision, you put your own hands in there and do it. And that's what the robot allows us to do.
Dr. Ramsey and his team gave us a training demonstration with the Da Vinci robots, repairing a mock heart valve on a dummy.
I want you to grab it in the middle, 90 degrees, perpendicular, in the middle of that needle.
That's my hand operating a robot sewing in sutures.
The minimally invasive option and now the robotic option has really helped increase the amount of patients we could help.
Ramsey says one challenge is in training more surgeons to master the technology.
I do see in the future robotics being going down to even better platforms where the robots also can perform some of the tasks for you.
And that's what he's doing also as director of robotics at UT Health Houston Memorial Hermann Hospital, planting more seeds so more surgeons can grow into using a helping robot hand.
Yes, we had a lot of butterfly stuff in here, and we had tons of butterflies.
Helping people like Catherine Coombs so she can get back to planting her garden. John Moan, Scripps News, Houston.
All right, it is 5:19 on a Friday. Friday. It's happy hour. The weekend is here. You're getting a live look over the Bayfront and camera in Naples. You see people already out on the water shower. You also see some clouds out there.
That's right. So let's check in with Fox 4 certified meteorologist Katie Walls, as you might be wondering what the rest of the evening and the weekend might look like.
That's right. So we do have the increasing cloud cover, and then by tomorrow, those rain chances really going up. So here we are looking live across the Caloosahatchee River at that mostly cloudy sky. We're at 87 degrees, and despite the cloud cover, look at this. So dew point, very sticky air. We can really feel that tropical air mass in place here. Dew point, the measure of moisture in the air, in the lower 70s, causing it to feel more like 94 degrees. So thankfully, at least we have the clouds to help just a bit. Winds are currently out of the southwest around 12 miles per hour. Those heat indices, they are still hot everywhere. LaBelle, it's still feeling more like 94 when you factor in that humidity. Both Palmdale and Moorhaven reporting heat indices at 95, alongside Naples, Golden Gate right now reporting a heat index of 96. We continue to watch a wave of energy moving in from the Gulf of Mexico, but it continues to show signs of weakening. That's kind of been the progression here of the last couple of waves, actually, that I've been watching since last night. We had another wave that weakened early this morning as it moves onshore, and that's going to be the case with this particular wave of energy as well, meaning we're not going to be dealing with much in the way of an impact from it. So get outside, enjoy this evening despite the heat and humidity. Could see a passing sprinkle, but that's about it. Rain chances this evening at just 20 to 30%, so certainly in your favor for outdoor activities. Overnight tonight, partly cloudy skies are expected. We'll kick off your Saturday. Lots of sunshine. Again, though, a humid start in the low and mid 70s. By midday, we'll start to see those partly cloudy skies develop. Best chance for an isolated storm around 4 p.m. will be farther inland toward Lake Okeechobee. And then after 6 p.m. Is when Southwest Florida needs to be on alert. So right here at 6 p.m., conditions are still quiet. That breeze, though, really starting to pick up. Tomorrow's going to be windy. We'll have gusts to 25. And then keep an eye on that cluster of storms moving through Southwest Florida. So after 6 o'clock is when we will be watching the potential for strong to severe storms move through Southwest Florida. Heavy rainfall, frequent lightning, gusty damaging wind will be our biggest threats with these storms as they work their way southward. Of course, here at Fox 4, we'll be tracking them for you every step of the way, but want to let you know that outdoor activities, outdoor dinners that you might have planned for tomorrow evening could be affected by this particular wave of energy. As of right now, it looks like most of that particular wave will be out by midnight. Then we'll have another one roll in before sunrise on Sunday. So Sunday, especially the first half of Sunday, certainly looking active. Also the potential for some isolated strong embedded storms with this. Gusty winds will continue out of the south, and Sunday's winds, we can see gusts to 36 miles per hour. Most of the activity will really be the first half of Sunday. Then that front comes through, and in its wake, cooler and drier air will be building in. So as of right now, it does look like that activity will be clearing out by Sunday evening. So for tonight, partly cloudy skies, just 20% rain chance, 74 degrees is where we'll start off tomorrow. Up to 92 we go. Again, evening storms, my biggest concern for your Saturday. Then all of us will be facing the potential on Sunday. Storms likely behind that front, though. Lower humidity and not as hot for your Monday.
Fewer people are choosing to volunteer, and the change is impacting organizations across the country. According to a recent survey from the U.S. Census Bureau and AmeriCorps, volunteer participation dropped 7% between 2019 and 2021. That's the largest decrease in nearly 2 decades. The lack of volunteers is forcing some nonprofit groups to hold off on improvements like hiring more staff.
Because feeding families is always going to be a priority for us. So what can we put off for another year, whether it's a technology piece, whether it's beefing up our staff, whatever it is, we can move money around to make sure that we're always providing that essential service for families.
In Phoenix, Ronald McDonald House volunteer opportunities like Dinner Time Heroes are only seeing 50% of the slots filled. Officials with the organization believe the drop may have something to do with more people working remotely.
We can speculate, and some of what we think is we have a lot of people working from home, and they're very comfortable at home, and to get in their car late in the afternoon and deal with traffic can be a real hassle for some people.
Colorado saw a 16% decline in volunteers, the largest of any state. Wisconsin and Ohio also saw double-digit drops.
The demand for RVs hit record highs during the pandemic, and that's not going away now with a new group driving the trend. How campgrounds are changing in response.
Well, Disney's lawsuit, a drag queen rally, and a big trip overseas.
Coming up, we are taking a look at some of the biggest stories out of Tallahassee this week as the session nears its end. Well, some call it the strongest anti-Semitism law in the nation. Fox 4 Investigates is looking into the new bill Governor Ron DeSantis just signed into law in Israel.
Live from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 News at 5.
And that's where we begin tonight. That new Florida law signed by Governor Ron DeSantis this week that will crack down on hate crimes right here in the Sunshine State.
For months now, Fox 4 Investigates' Ryan Kruger has been tracking the rise of anti-Semitism through his series, The State of Hate. And Ryan, supporters call this new law the strongest anti-Semitism law in the United States.
Yeah, it's known as the Public Nuisances Law. It passed unanimously through the state legislature. It makes it a felony to harass people for their religion or ethnicity. The governor signed that bill while visiting Israel. Under the law, let's say someone projects anti-Semitic or hateful messages onto someone else's property. They could then face felony charges. Governor DeSantis says this law still protects free speech, but it does not protect harassing or intimidating behavior.
What can we do in Florida to enhance the ability to hold people accountable when they're not just giving an opinion, however distasteful it is, but when that really crosses the line into threatening conduct?
According to the Attorney General's office, Florida saw a 16% increase in hate crimes in 2021. That is the most recent year that data is available. Now, for months, Fox 4 Investigates has shown you the pleas from many in the Jewish community calling for stronger hate crime laws to be on the books in Florida. You're going to hear their reaction coming up tonight at 6. Ryan Kruger, Fox 4 Investigates.
All right, Ryan, we'll see you at 6 o'clock. Also, it was another week where Florida made national, even international headlines with a Disney lawsuit, a drag queen rally in Tallahassee, and DeSantis' big trip abroad. All happening as the 2023 legislative session is now wrapping up its final days. Capitol reporter Forrest Saunders with this legislative recap on this Friday.
LGBTQ plus rights front and center this week. A slate of legislation backed by the GOP supermajority brought out perhaps the largest gathering of drag queens to protest in the state's history. Take a look. In boots and heels,
drag is not a crime!
More than 100 drag queens and allies marched to the Capitol Tuesday, protesting bills banning gender dysphoria treatments for minors, limiting government bathrooms to biological sex, and threatening fines or jail time for those allowing kids to watch, quote, adult live performances. Something the group sees as censorship of drag shows.
We won't be erased. We understand that the laws have been passed, but we're going to let them know that we're not going to take it laying down.
Rep. Randy Fine, shepherding two of the bills, says the goal is to protect kids.
I got news for you. We're just getting started.
A day earlier, he also subpoenaed two state health groups who back, quote, gender-affirming care, seeking data on why.
No one should have a problem with that. If they do, it's probably because they know we're not going to like what we find.
And while lawmakers worked, the governor made headlines overseas during a trade mission to Japan, South Korea, and Israel, where he defended the Jewish nation and repeatedly dismissed questions on whether he was running for president.
And if there's any announcements, those will come at the appropriate time.
Meanwhile, Disney v. DeSantis, now a federal court case. The company filed suit against the governor and new state oversight board, alleging they were penalized by the state for speaking out against a controversial bill last year. Quote, in America, the government cannot punish you for speaking your mind.
I'm very excited because I think they should have done it a long time ago.
Democrats and Republicans split on the lawsuit, which aims to put Disney back in control of the land around its Orlando parks.
The governor's not going to give up, to what I know and understand. I'm not speaking for him, but Disney will lose this fight.
Finally.
76 yeas, 34 nays, Mr. Speaker.
Show the bill passes.
Lawmakers sending a sweeping elections bill to DeSantis' desk. It'll upgrade rules and penalties for third-party voter registration groups, plus makes clear the governor can run for president or VP without needing to resign. Another divisive issue.
If everybody's talking about it, we might as well clarify it.
Yeah, it's the political equivalent of being married but still being able to date.
DeSantis, as you might expect, will likely sign, making that bill law in the coming days. And there are still plenty of things that need final passage. We're talking about the immigration as well as higher ed reform bills. They still need to get through the chamber behind me, as well as the potentially $115 billion or more state budget. All of that expected to happen in session's final week. That's the latest out here at the Capitol. I'm Forrest Saunders reporting.
Poor management, weaker regulations, and lax government supervision all led to the demise of Silicon Valley Bank. That's according to a new review out today from the Federal Reserve. The Fed, which is the bank's primary regulator, admitted to not taking sufficient steps to ensure the bank addressed its problems quickly. It recommended a sweeping re-evaluation of its regulatory and supervisory functions. Well, don't throw away your expired Bed Bath & Beyond coupons just yet. At least 2 major retailers are temporarily offering discounts in exchange for the coupons. Big Lots will take 20% off your entire purchase, and the Container Store is offering a 20% discount off a single item. Bed Bath & Beyond stopped taking those coupons on Wednesday following its bankruptcy announcement.
The pandemic really drove the RV industry. Families were able to load up and go out on a road trip, stop at a campground, and do some remote working. Well, now that's coming to an end. The RV industry says they're seeing a change in who's RVing and what they want when they get to a campground.
Nothing says summer like a road trip and camping with family and friends. Whether it's a lakefront campground or a remote spot at a national park, this year you'll likely see a lot more RVs out and about. RVs are not cheap, so who's buying them? Well, last year, the average buyer was a 32-year-old millennial. Almost all of them were married, and they made about 80 grand a year. And this summer, millennials will be the ones hitting the road. 90% of them plan to travel. They make up about 2/3 of all RV sales, followed by Gen X and Z, and just a few baby boomers shelled out for a new RV. It makes sense. The millennials say they're hitting the road primarily so they can work remotely, explore the country, and they use the RV as a base camp when they travel. And they want it to be comfortable and accessible, like this fully accessible RV for people with physical challenges. The RV industry says the pandemic changed who's camping and how they camp.
Remote work has allowed people, even if you're not fully remote, if you are in a hybrid environment, you're able to take that Friday, that Monday, and take the kids, take your family, take your friends, and take that Zoom call from the campground on Friday, and then take advantage of the wonderful amenities.
And for the climate conscious, Winnebago, one of the largest RV manufacturers, is working on this all-electric RV. It's still a prototype, but it's going to be 100% electrified.
The van life popularity has just exploded, and people are out being more adventurous than they used to be. And then the younger people, they want something that is more consumer friendly, more eco-friendly. So we're using post-consumer recyclable materials. Everything in the interior, it comes from something that was recycled.
Across the country, RV parks are also modernizing and providing the comforts millennials expect, like high-speed internet for remote working and to stay connected even out in nature.
They want to be connected, and they also want to share the experience that they're having. So they want to put it on social media. They want to talk to their friends. They want to, video or Skype or Zoom with anyone.
Americans love their summer road trips. 4 out of 5 people are planning to drive up to 500 miles for a vacation this summer, many of them camping, which is why RV companies and campgrounds are making camping more millennial friendly.
Those millennial RVers saying this is a lot cheaper and a lot less hassle than airplanes and hotels. That's why they're sticking with these RVs. I'm Scripps News meteorologist Scott Withers in Ponchatoula, Louisiana.
Scott, thank you for that report. Hip surgeries are becoming more common, especially among young women who play sports. Monday, we're looking into what's driving the increase in these cases in this group and what would prevent more of them. But still to come today, there's a new effort to help reunite Holocaust survivors and their families.
It changed the entire family. It was so incredible for everybody and so healing for her to reunite.
How at-home DNA testing is now making more reunions like that possible.
For Holocaust survivors and their families, tracing family lineage can often be difficult. That's where a new DNA project is coming into play. Knows that firsthand.
The whole experience of connecting them was amazing.
A few years ago, Mendelsohn discovered her husband's 95-year-old grandmother, who had survived the Holocaust, had family she didn't know about living in the U.S.
It changed the entire family. It was so incredible for everybody and so healing for her to reunite.
That launched Mendelsohn on a mission to help connect victims of the Holocaust and their families by using modern DNA technology. That's why she launched the DNA Reunion Project a few months back.
We had this idea to create a program that would give free testing to Holocaust survivors.
Thanks to a partnership with Ancestry DNA, the DNA Reunion Project has received 2,500 DNA test kits. The goal is to send them out to Holocaust survivors or their direct descendants all over the world, and then put that DNA information into Ancestry's database. There have been attempts to use DNA to reunite Holocaust survivors before, but never to this scale. Ancestry DNA already has a DNA database of more than 20 million people.
We just want people to understand that so many of these people believe that they are all alone, and they're really not.
There are no exact numbers, but historians believe at least 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust. Many who survived often lost every member of their family or vital family documents.
The Holocaust created many situations where there are people for whom there is no paper trail.
We're looking for just those smaller connections where people just feel, oh my goodness, it's not just me in this world.
Adina Newman is co-founder on the project. In some cases, participants have found living family members they thought were gone, or have simply been able to fill out their family tree.
Part of what the Holocaust did was just completely sever ties for families.
There is another layer to all of this: time. Many Holocaust survivors are in their 80s or 90s, so time is of the essence in reaching survivors still alive.
This is the latest frontier in technology being able to communicate lessons of history.
That is Gabriel Rosenfeld with the Center for Jewish History. He sees the project as an opportunity.
You know, if we don't learn lessons from the past, we're simply going to repeat those lessons.
A lot of these people, you know, they've been through an unimaginably traumatic experience, and so many of them were left, you know, either orphaned or with very few family members left. And I think many of them also believe that not only were their families stolen, but their history was stolen.
A chance to reclaim what was taken away with a simple swap of DNA.
It empowers these people to believe that, you know, not everything was taken from them.
Chris Conti, Scripps News, Baltimore.
Tonight on Fox 4 News at 6, 16 years. That is how long a local mom has waited to see her son's killer brought to justice.
But just a few months ago, there was a new development in this case that has left her really shocked and stopped her right in her tracks. Her story and the event she's now holding for others dealing with grief and no closure. It's a story Shari is doing. You're going to want to see it at Fox 4 News at 6. Katie.
Showers and storms few and far between this evening. That's not going to be the case, though, this time tomorrow. So here we go, helping you plan out your night. Partly cloudy skies, temperatures staying hot and humid. We'll take a look at the timeline for those storms that could impact your weekend plans next. Welcome back to the Fox 4 Weather Center. I'm Fox 4 certified meteorologist Katie Woles. It is a cloudy evening, but don't let these clouds deter you from your outdoor plans. Here we are looking live from atop our studios here in Cape Coral, right down Pine Island Road. And regardless of where you are, we have these mostly cloudy skies in the mix. But when we look at our current radar setup, it's all this cloud cover from the remnants of a cluster of showers and storms that continue to show signs of weakening. So we've seen several different waves of energy develop here in the Gulf of Mexico, but as they work their way eastward, they fizzle out as they get closer. So I'm really not worried about much in the way of wet weather impacting your evening plans. Just a 20% chance for a passing rain shower this evening and tonight. So here are your weather headlines. While conditions are fairly quiet for now, my concern turns toward tomorrow evening. After 6 p.m., that's when we'll see the potential for some strong storms to be pushing through southwest Florida. I'll show you that hour-by-hour timeline momentarily. Then looking ahead to Sunday, a cold front moves through. In so doing, we'll be waking up to showers and storms Sunday morning. And then late in the day, all of that will be clearing out. Also, I want to talk about those winds very quickly. Tomorrow is going to be breezy. We'll have gusts to 25 miles per hour. And Sunday, downright windy. Regardless of the storms, we're still looking for gusts on Sunday, upwards of 36 miles per hour. So I want to point that out if you do have plans, especially for our boaters out there. So hour by hour, here's a look at what we can expect. Again, just a 20% chance for a passing rain shower this evening. Overall, just expect a partly to mostly cloudy sky. Overnight tonight, those clouds thin out. So by Saturday morning, 7 a.m., lots of sunshine on the way. And for the most part, most of the day on Saturday will be just fine for outdoor activities. I do advise staying hydrated. It's going to be a hot and humid day. Best chance for storms right here at 4 p.m., staying inland closer to Lake Okeechobee. And then we pause our timeline right here at 6 p.m. At this point, our models are honing in on the potential for what we call a convective system to be moving from Tampa Bay and heading southward into southwest Florida. So from 6 to 10 p.m., that's going to be the time frame that we need to make sure we're aware of the weather. Some of these storms could pack a punch, gusty, damaging wind, even some small hail. Heavy rainfall, lightning, our biggest concerns for tomorrow evening. So again, if you do have outdoor dinner plans, maybe have an indoor contingency plan just in case. And then we'll see another wave of energy come in on your Sunday morning. So starting at 4 a.m. Sunday morning, more showers and storms pushing through. An embedded strong storm cannot be ruled out either. This is in association with that cold front coming in. But as of right now, our model's clearing out this rain pretty early in the day. So honestly, it looks like your Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening will be pretty quiet, but again, it will be on the windy side. Very quickly, just want to point out where we do have the threat for strong and severe storms late tomorrow. Again, this is tomorrow evening. We do have that slight risk for parts of Charlotte, DeSoto, and Sarasota counties, and then that marginal threat for our other communities. Overnight tonight, partly cloudy skies will drop to 74. High temperatures tomorrow, 92, feeling more like 98. And then keep your eye to the sky tomorrow evening and again on Sunday. Behind that front, though, very tranquil starting Monday.
Health leaders warn another common antibiotic is in short supply. The FDA is reporting a shortage of an injectable form of penicillin. It's used to treat syphilis and other bacterial infections like strep throat. The drug supplier says it's an indirect effect of the ongoing amoxicillin shortage, which prompted doctors to prescribe penicillin instead. Well, if you're already dealing with ticks, you're not alone. Scientists worry this year's mild winter and early snow melt could mean more ticks and a wider spread of Lyme disease and other tick-borne diseases. They say ticks are already showing up in high numbers in parts of the Northeast. The CDC recently warned that cases of babesiosis, a tick-borne disease that causes flu-like symptoms, have been on the rise.
Over the years, the number of children diagnosed with autism has been steadily growing. A new PhD program, one of only a handful in the nation that focuses on autism, could potentially lead to new breakthroughs in research.
We're just looking at the first one.
Inside this university library, an exercise is underway.
All right, cool.
Called Work Possibilities, this program helps people with autism practice social and communication skills in the workplace.
We have multiple types of programs and events that we offer for autistic adults.
It's all happening on the campus of Towson University in Maryland, which just launched a new PhD program specifically focusing on autism studies.
a program headed up by Caitlin Wilson.
There are growing avenues for how we research autism, so not just looking at the genetics or the cause, the etiology, but thinking more about transition into adulthood and the kinds of supports in the community that can be put in place.
The idea is to bring together different facets of autism specialization into one setting. Emma Shipley is applying for the program.
I had always wanted to do a doctorate, but there aren't a ton of programs that related to what I wanted to do in this area.
A self-described theater kid, she currently works in speech pathology with teenagers and adults with autism and sees new autism research opportunities by using improvisation to improve communication skills.
I'm really interested in improvisational theater techniques to improve communication skills. There's been a movement in the last several years in terms of the neurodiversity movement of supporting autistic individuals and other neurodivergent populations rather than attempting to change or to fix their neurodivergence.
The PhD program will start off with 7 students, all of whom will be required to undertake a research project related to autism.
I certainly expect that there will be very exciting outcomes to the research that our PhD students do in this program. So I think the novel ideas that will come in through our PhD students will definitely make changes.
The world of autism is one Darren Edwards is now grappling with.
I was having some issues that were similar to what other college students who have autism go through, so I decided to get the testing.
That was in October. The testing diagnosed Edwards with autism.
I hope that the people in the PhD are interested in improving the lives of undergraduate and graduate students who have autism.
Playing a key role in that will be the university's Hussman Center for Adults with Autism. With 1 in 36 children diagnosed with autism, Director Doug DeHaan says sometimes the focus on autism stops there.
Typically, when you think of 1 in 36, you think of the young adult, the kids, and little do people think about how all of those individuals grow up to be adults. And so it's not a high researched area currently.
And so do you think this program might be able to help with that?
Absolutely, yeah, and I'm really excited about that.
Exploring possibilities and potentially opening new avenues into autism research. Maya Rodriguez, Scripps News, Towson, Maryland.
Maya, thank you for that report. Well, that's going to do it for us today. I'm Michelle London. Fox 4 News at 6 is next.
A marina in Fort Myers Beach is set for some real changes as Ian forced its hand.
Ian changed everybody's life.
We'll show you the proposed changes and why some people say they're not happy about it.
Then what 15 different law enforcement agencies had to do to help cut down on the cocaine, fentanyl, and meth reaching our communities.
Hey, that's in the books. We're fighting back.
And what's involved in the first of its kind law that delivers punishments at a new level for crimes targeting our Jewish neighbors right here in the Sunshine State.
Live from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 News at 6.
Thank you for joining us on this Friday night for Fox 4 News at 6. I am Chris Earl.
And I'm Nadine Yanis. The way you said Friday night, the weekend officially here. And despite the clouds that we are seeing across Southwest Florida as we get a live look from Cape Coral, a lot of clouds there, we're still staying dry for the night.
Seems like that will not be the case, though, for the weekend as Fox 4 certified meteorologist Katie Walls is timing out how it's looking.
For those of you with evening plans, get outside and enjoy. I hope you can. We do have several clusters of thunderstorms developing here in the Gulf of Mexico, but as we saw last night and another wave this morning and another wave this afternoon, as these waves of energy get closer to Southwest Florida, they're fizzling out. So what we're tracking out here is not a concern of mine heading into the evening. Notice these showers just kind of drying right up as they work their way our direction. So for this evening, you just have a 20% rain chance in the mix. Let's take a closer look at your hour-by-hour timeline. For now, we're mostly cloudy, but overnight, those clouds will be thinning out, and by Saturday morning, we'll be starting off with lots of sunshine. So most of Saturday will be ideal for outdoor plans. It's going to be hot, it's going to be humid, so please stay hydrated. Bit more cloud cover expected for the afternoon. Best chance for afternoon showers and storms on Saturday will be inland, but then we look ahead to the evening after 6 p.m. That's when we'll be tracking the potential for strong and severe weather here in Southwest Florida. We'll talk more about that and the impacts it could have on your plans next.
Thank you, Katie. New plans, new dreams for a marina that's been in use in Fort Myers Beach for years.
Yeah, we're talking about Moss Marina here, and the idea is to turn this marina, which is just west of the Matanzas Pass Bridge, into an entertainment district as well.
But this also despite it being a working fishing marina for years. Fox 4's Colton Chavez joins us live from that part of Estero Island. And Colton, the concern that we're hearing is that some people say they do not want to lose the marina.
Yeah, Chris, so when you hear the phrase entertainment district, you think to yourself, how does a marina play into all of this? Well, tonight I'm being told the marina isn't going anywhere, but what is happening is that these redevelopments that are coming to Moss Marina, they're being put in place so that way future storms or maybe even hurricanes don't give this area any trouble either.
We're getting fuel here, a couple days a week, and then we're just ready for it to start getting built back up.
Many, like Captain Jake, owner of Baystar Charters, depend on Moss Marina to stay put, especially after already having to battle back from Ian and buy a new boat.
I remember the day after the storm we came in, I looked in the barn and our boat was gone actually.
So when renderings for Moss Marina at Arches Bayfront on Fort Myers Beach were posted, some feared the marina would be an afterthought.
The character of the marina will change, but Moss Marina is staying. We plan that to be part of Moss Marina at the Arches.
Marina owner Ben Freeland says some of that new character will come from additions like multi-level restaurants, hotels, and walkways like what's seen in these renderings.
We'll come in with all our fish and be like, what's even better than catching fish? Like eating fresh fish, take them right over there to the restaurants, get them cooked up.
Freeland said the plans for the marina, going back for years, looked at this type of development.
Ian changed everybody's life and time frame instantly, so it was a long-term plan, became a today plan.
Add this as all other components of Fort Myers Beach are working into place. And other exciting developments on the island, we're learning what reopening soon means for Publix. The spokesperson says they're supposed to reopen on May 25th. And as for good old Margaritaville, you can see workers up there starting to give this place a little bit of color. On the company's website, they still say they're set to open towards the end of the year. And what comes with new additions and reopenings is a stronger Fort Myers Beach, with building codes Freeland says will help the island withstand the future.
When you start looking now at really what you need to do to really plan for these type of events, we've got to get some height.
As a reminder, the marina is asking for people to give their feedback. Now, the plan after they get all of this feedback is to have an open house on May 15th. That's when they're going to go ahead and release those final renderings. So if you do want to give feedback on how you want the marina to look, there's a link live on our website at fox4now.com. Live in Moss Marina tonight, Colton Chavez, Fox 4.
Thanks, Colton. A former Marco Island councilman is found guilty on serious charges, including fixing an election to stay in power for a condo association. The Florida Department of Business and Professional Relations says Victor Rios is guilty on 3 different counts of fraud. Investigators say Rios rigged an election to stay president of the Belize Condominium Association. Marco Island took complaints about a 2019 election for the condo board with claims that multiple votes were forged. The Florida Business Management Department investigators found cases of multiple ballots. Marco Island says fake ballots contained personal information like people's names, condo numbers, forced signatures. State officials were able to trace his DNA to those fake ballots. He resigned from the Belize Condo Board in 2020. He will be out legally until sentencing.
Well, it is not here yet, but Florida's Department of Emergency Management wants you to be prepared for the next hurricane season, now just 5 weeks away. The department sent out this checklist that says will help families get ready for a major storm. You can find this on Facebook or on floridadisasterkit.com. It does serve as a reminder and it has a suggested list of go-bag items for your entire family, including pets, supplies, anything that you might need to not only leave your house, but also in case your car breaks down. Well, 24 suspects are in jail tonight after a massive drug bust complete with cash, cars, and drugs, and nearly every law enforcement agency in Southwest Florida worked on this case.
And State Attorney Mira Fox says Net Force, the task force, took down the 24 suspects during what's called Operation All in the Family. This was not a small bust. She says they took 150 grams of fentanyl off of Southwest Florida streets, hundreds of thousands of dollars of dirty money from what she says are criminal organizations, and the rest of the haul. The Net Force task force recovered from its latest bust 2 cars, 20 guns, more than 75 pounds of marijuana in total. From the last 3 operations, they're claiming 4 million grams of fentanyl taken out.
The approach is to dismantle the organized crime, narcotics, racketeering, and money laundering criminal enterprises that form around illegal narcotics.
And all throughout the documents, the people facing charges have addresses from all over the region, including Fort Myers, Cape Coral, Lehigh, and LaBelle.
Well, Naples police say a woman who stole nearly $80,000 from a preschool will have to pay it back, and she'll also spend the next 13 years on probation. Naples police say Heather Ortiz used a fake PayPal account to take money from the Fun Time Childhood Academy. At the time, they say she was working as the school's financial manager and used its business credit cards to pay herself and then pocket that own money into her own personal bank account. Investigators say that Ortiz did this several times, stealing $69,000 from the company card, $4,000 from a donation account, and then another $7,000 from direct spending for personal items she bought with the company's cards, they say. In all, Ortiz now has to pay back more than $79,000 to the preschool. She will spend 2 years under house arrest and then another 13 on probation. Well, a sweeping elections bill that also clears Florida's governor. He can now run for president without risking his job. That bill now headed to the desk, getting cleared in the legislature tonight.
And House Republicans gave approval earlier today, and state lawmakers now split on exactly what this policy would do. Fox 4 Capitol reporter Forrest Saunders takes a look.
It was another fight on the floor as Republicans,
election reform should be something that we look at every session,
and Democrats,
this bill ain't what democracy looks like,
sparred over Florida's latest elections bill, a sweeping policy that does a lot. The bill's bulk increases penalties and rules for third-party voter registration groups, which could now face up to $250,000 in fines each year if they don't submit completed registrations within 10 days. Groups also forbidden from retaining personal data of voters they register, and convicted felons or undocumented prohibited from handling ballots. Plus, with state law enforcement arresting about 20 for illegal voting, there's new wording for voter ID cards to make clear having one doesn't mean someone is approved to vote, after several cases were dismissed.
It's a great bill for Florida voters.
Republicans backing the bill cheered the changes as ensuring better election integrity.
Confidence amongst Floridians is at an all-time high in the way we conduct our elections, but that doesn't mean that you stop working on it.
But on the floor, Democrats worried the GOP majority was trying to cut access to the polls.
It seems to me and a lot of people to be about power and control and about making things harder for certain people.
The parties also squabbled over new language ensuring a Florida governor can run for president or vice president without needing to resign.
Members, I don't wait for one man. I'm not going to change the law for one man.
Republicans dismiss it's a gift for DeSantis, who has yet to announce any kind of run.
If we can open the door for anybody who's qualified to run, let's let them get out there and get qualified to run, and let's see who the nominee is.
The next step is the governor's, who, as you might think, is likely to sign. At the Capitol, Forrest Saunders, Fox 4.
And while the governor is in Israel on this global tour, he did sign a major bill into law.
Yeah, it's going to have a huge impact, though, right here in Florida with punishments against anti-Semitic crimes in our state.
Florida is also a state where we've seen just an increasing normalization of hateful rhetoric.
Coming up, Fox 4 Investigates is looking at whether or not this new law is enough to actually slow down the state of hate we are seeing. Shari.
And coming up, the mother of this young man, I am speaking to him. This is a story Fox 4 has been following for you for years. The development in that case coming up.
Tonight we are following through on a story we first brought you more than 6 years ago.
Yeah, then we spoke to a mom seeking justice after 2 young men were killed in a shooting back in 2006. We spoke to one of the victims' moms back in 2017 and checked in with her again this week as her son would have been 35 years old on Thursday. Fox 4's Shari Armstrong has been following the story and spoke with the family again this week. And Shari, sadly, still no closure or justice for this family.
Yeah, this mom, Nadine and Chris, spent 16 years waiting for justice in her son's case. But just a few months ago, ahead of the 17-year mark, she learned something new in his case that she says left her shocked, but still determined to bring hope to those living with grief.
That's my firstborn, Angelo, my only son.
This Fort Myers mom says she did not know when she wished her son, Angelo Gary, a happy birthday before he left for the night.
And that was the last time I seen him.
Angelo and her nephew, Marcus Battle, were shot right outside of their grandmother's Fort Myers apartment in 2006.
It just felt, in that moment, it felt like someone took a knife and just stabbed me in my heart.
Camelia Sly tells me for the last 16 years, she has waited, hoping one day someone would be convicted for these murders. 2 arrests were made back in 2007, but no convictions for either death. And a few months ago, she learned the case was actually closed.
I'm like, it's closed. I really thought it was a joke.
I confirmed with Crime Stoppers the case is closed. Former state attorney Bob Lee did not prosecute, and Camelia says she's never been told why.
It's not even a cold case. It's closed as if someone has been convicted.
Camelia tells me she's frustrated, but she's determined to help others through very similar situations. She says on April 29th, days after what would have been Angelo's 35th birthday, she'll host a Memory in the Park event.
Some people probably haven't smiled in a long time, so that's going to be their opportunity to let it all out.
Hoping through music and food and fellowship to bring parents and others facing the loss of a loved one connection.
It's time to just let it all out and let your hair down.
And support. She hopes that can lead to understanding.
Who would think that you would say you were excited about something like this?
I'm just excited to know what I'm going to bring to the community.
So as you just heard Camelia mention, the Memory in the Park event is Saturday, tomorrow, April 29th. We've got all the details on our website for you, and you might be wondering about the case itself. We have reached out to the state attorney's office asking for records, and we are digging deeper into this case and other cases like it. In the studio, Shari Armstrong, Fox 4.
Shari, thank you for that important update for that family in Fort Myers. For the stone crab trappers, the traps must be out of the water in the next few days. There's a reminder from FWC. The stone crab season ends coming up on Tuesday, May 2nd. FWC says the final day to harvest stone crab claws is Monday, but on Monday, traps have to start coming out of the water within 5 days of the close of season, which would be Tuesday. So harvesting is heavily regulated by FWC because they're popular all across Florida, of course, but especially right here in Southwest Florida.
Well, if you're going to be out on the water this weekend, you're going to want to pay attention to the weather as we're getting a live look from the Tarpon Lodge in Bokeelia. Those clouds are already billowing and the storm chances will be going up this weekend, Chris.
And concerns about plans that could get rained out. Fox 4 certified meteorologist Katie Walls tracking how this next storm system could impact you.
And I'll actually also be showing you that boating forecast for both Saturday and Sunday. We're talking about winds 25 knots tomorrow for our boaters and up to 40 knots on Sunday. So not exactly the best of boating weekends, but here we are. It's beautiful for now on the cloudy side from the Luminary Hotel in downtown Fort Myers. But don't let these ominous looking clouds chase you inside just yet. Get outside and take advantage of the evening. Temperatures, they are warm and they are humid. We're at 85 degrees. Dew point, measure of moisture in the air in the lower 70s. And that's contributing to a heat index right now of 92. So even at this hour, still feeling more like 92 degrees. Winds currently out of the southwest around 13 miles per hour. All of this moisture continuing to flow in off the Gulf. We are in a tropical air mass for sure. We're closely monitoring several waves of energy that are rolling in off of the Gulf of Mexico, but as we saw last night, another wave this morning, another wave this afternoon, they're all dissipating as they get closer to our coastline. That's going to be the case again this evening. That's why I say get out and take advantage of it, because this time tomorrow things will be a bit more active. But as of now, I just have a 20% rain chance in the mix for this evening. For those of you heading out right around 10 p.m., quiet conditions are expected. Clouds will slowly break apart overnight tonight, and then for the morning, they start to make a return. So we're going to have a mix of clouds and sun throughout the day on Saturday, but overall it's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. Right here at 3 p.m., best chance for storm development staying inland, Hendry, Glades. Winds, by the way, will really start to increase for the afternoon. This one will see those gusts to 25 miles per hour. It's 6 o'clock onward that we need to stay weather aware. So most of the day is going to be just fine for outdoor plans. But from 6 o'clock onward, that's when we'll have these showers and storms building in, specifically from the Tampa Bay area. So they're going to be coming in from the north and west and then heading into southwest Florida. These storms could pack a punch. Strong to severe storms cannot be ruled out here. So along with our typical lightning and heavy downpours, we could also see some gusty, damaging wind in the stronger cells that develop. So please stay weather aware tomorrow evening through about 10 to 11 p.m. And then looking ahead to Sunday, another opportunity for wet weather arrives as a cold front builds in. So many of us will be waking up to yet another round of rainfall Sunday morning right here at 7 a.m. That's all in association with the cold front. Likewise, a few embedded cells could be on the stronger side. Sunday, windier than your Saturday, but still both days expected to be quite breezy indeed. As of now, our models are really kicking out most of that rainfall on Sunday pretty early in the day. So it's focused on the morning hours. The afternoon, we'll see improvements. It'll stay windy, though, throughout the afternoon and evening. But as of right now, notice this model. This just updated here within the last 15 minutes in Fox 4. Right here at 3 p.m., mostly sunny skies are expected for your Sunday afternoon. So Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening might not be that bad despite the breezy conditions. For tomorrow, we'll head up toward 92 degrees, heat index of 98, evening storms on tap. And then for your Sunday, mainly morning storms expected as that front comes through. Behind that front, lower humidity, sunshine for Monday.
Well, the state's first ever texting while driving case has ended.
And the family that lost a 9-year-old in a crash has been waiting for an answer from this since 2016.
The fight was worth it?
We'll share more words from the family who says it's the start of a massive change in trying to make that happen within Florida's legal system.
And we know that Sanibel Island lost so much of its iconic, lush, and vibrant native plant population, and now it is a top priority to bring it back. How city leaders are planning to do that as we celebrate Arbor Day coming up.
Verdict count 4. We, the jury, find as follows as to the defendant in this case. The defendant is guilty of reckless driving causing serious bodily injury as charged.
Yeah, this was the ending to an historic case right here in Florida. The moment a jury found a Florida man guilty on all counts in the first texting and driving case to ever go to trial in our state.
After just 2 hours of deliberating today, the 6-member jury in Hernando County found 39-year-old Gregory Andriotis guilty of 1 count of vehicular homicide and 3 counts of reckless driving for a crash in 2016 that killed a 9-year-old boy, Logan Shearer. The crash also seriously injured the boy's parents and his younger sister. And for Logan's parents, this week's trial and verdicts do represent a measure of justice after years of mourning.
To hear that the fight was worth it, that now we have an opportunity to really take Logan's light and to move it forward for other families. We started out with this 5 years ago because we wanted to prevent families from ever having to go through what we've been through. And we didn't know that we were ever going to be able to make something big out of it. But today, it happened.
And records show that in 2016, Andriotis slammed into the back of the family's car while they were in traffic on I-75 about an hour north of Tampa. Logan's parents and witnesses say Andriotis was texting on his phone and distracted when he crashed into them, causing a chain reaction. He now faces up to 30 years in prison for this case. Now, the Shearer family made it their mission to toughen texting and driving laws in Florida. It is now considered a primary offense in the Sunshine State.
This Arbor Day is much more than a concept for this year. After the break, we'll be showing you the work all across Southwest Florida to try to bring back the natural beauty at one very well-known spot. Plus, a comprehensive new law targeting anti-Semitic attacks across Florida.
Yeah, tonight Fox 4 Investigates is asking what that law really changes for our state.
And you could be held accountable for infringing on somebody else's property rights.
So this is what the governor has to say when he signed this bill in Israel. We're looking into it and how it is intended to keep that from happening.
this is a major blow to hate mongers.
Florida's governor went overseas to fight hate in his own state. Fox 4 investigates a new law delivering never-before-seen protections for Florida's Jewish community.
Sanibel Island was known for its lush natural appearance until Hurricane Ian stripped so much of it away. Tonight, how people there are coming together to restore its tropical beauty.
Live from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 News at 6.
Florida's governor has taken a pointed stand on a lot of topics in recent months, from what pronouns can be used in schools to where drag shows can be hosted. I'm Chris Earl.
And I'm Nadine Yanis. And tonight we are taking a look at another line the governor is drawing in the sand, and that is on hate crimes targeting Jewish communities in Florida. One day after Governor Ron DeSantis signed the strongest anti-Semitism law our nation has seen, Fox 4 investigative reporter Ryan Kruger is taking a closer look at this law and what it means for Florida.
And Ryan's supporters say they just couldn't stand by and let another hate crime happen.
Yeah, that's right, Chris and Nadine. Florida leaders say they've seen too many hate-filled actions in recent years that they felt like they had to act.
Last June, neighbors in Port Charlotte found these anti-Semitic flyers dumped onto their driveways and front yards. Governor Ron DeSantis says messages like these go far beyond free speech issues.
You don't have a right to threaten people. You don't have a right to harass people. You don't have a right to intimidate.
While on a trip in Israel, DeSantis signed what supporters have called the strongest anti-Semitism bill in the U.S.
Hey, that's in the books. We're fighting back.
For example, earlier this year, someone projected a swastika onto buildings in downtown West Palm Beach. Under this new law, the suspects could face felony charges.
Putting it on someone else's property, they're defining that this bill is a trespass, and you could be held accountable for infringing on somebody else's property rights.
For months, Fox 4 Investigates has shown you the rise in anti-Semitism and hate crimes. When our reporting first began, the Anti-Defamation League called on Florida leaders to pass strong hate crime legislation.
Florida is also a state where we've seen just an increasing normalization of hateful rhetoric.
In their annual report, Hate in the Sunshine State, the ADL found Florida had the fourth most hate incidents in the country. They're applauding the new law, saying in a statement, this is a major blow to hate mongers who harass, intimidate, and threaten our communities.
And the latest numbers from both the FBI and the Florida Attorney General's office show a 12% increase nationwide in hate crimes. Meanwhile, Florida saw a 16% increase during that same time. Ryan Kruger, Fox 4 Investigates.
Thanks, Ryan. Also brand new tonight, Florida lawmakers have cleared the way for Governor DeSantis to return back to a seat in Tallahassee if and when he decides to run for president of the United States. 34 lawmakers voting against the amendment to the election bill today, but an overwhelming majority, 76 supporters, voted to approve this measure. This now overturns a state provision that prevented a lawmaker from running for a new office while holding a position on state government. Now, here is the thing. This is not a new move here. Florida legislatures actually changed the law in 2008 to allow former Governor Charlie Crist to run for vice president, but then re-implemented it back into law 4 years ago.
Off to Sanibel for an Arbor Day with even more meaning than usual because of Hurricane Ian.
Yeah, so this Arbor Day, the city of Sanibel is celebrating the native Florida plants that survived Hurricane Ian, and they're also flourishing today. It is a sign of encouragement, leaders say. Yesterday, Fox 4 meteorologist Andrew Shipley was actually on the island, and we were talking about all the downed trees and the fire concerns that stemmed from that.
And today, he's also back as Sanibel leaders push to make the island green once again.
If you've ever been to the grounds at City Hall on Sanibel, well, they're covered in native plants, from trees to shrubs to beautiful flowers like this. Now, these are all native to the island or considered Florida friendly. The goal is to get more plants on the island. That's why the city is back to hosting walks on Saturday to educate and encourage more planting of these native species and give life back to Sanibel.
Take a tour of the grounds around City Hall to learn about the different vegetation options for landscaping.
Rachel Rainbow is a conservation officer with Sanibel's Department of Natural Resources. She says what you see growing around City Hall are plants that are unique to Southwest Florida's barrier islands. And they're not just pretty, they protect beaches and bay properties from erosion.
Native vegetation is well adapted to local climate and seasonal changes. And once they're established, they require little to no irrigation.
They also don't require the use of fertilizers, meaning better water quality on the island. The native plants also help the island's wildlife,
including migratory birds, gopher tortoises, as well as preventing coastal and bay erosion and providing sand accretion for our nesting shorebirds and sea turtles.
And like Southwest Floridians, these plants are resilient.
We noticed a lot of damage, more so to exotic vegetation, which is part of the reason why Sanibel requires the utilization of native plants within their landscaping plans.
Sanibel City Code requires the protection of these native plants. They can't be easily removed, and the city doesn't allow exotic plants on the island that would compete with these native species. Now, if you are interested in learning more about these native plants, again, the Sanibel does hold weekly Saturday 9 o'clock native species walks right here at City Hall, where you can learn all the information you need to know about planting them in your backyard. On Sanibel, meteorologist Andrew Shipley, Fox 4.
After Ian, trees and vegetation are also a concern in Charlotte County. So much so, some people are encouraging others to start replanting for free. You first heard about the Florida elms Charlotte County was giving away if you watched Fox 4 News at 5 yesterday. We were back out there this morning for the giveaway at Centennial Park's Rec Center. One person told us that she lost 6 trees in the hurricane and hopes this new tree will also help to bring some of the much needed shade back to her backyard.
I love trees. Ask my kids, ask anybody. I just love trees, and I just think we need them, and I think they provide us with oxygen, and we're firm believers in replanting. And with all the construction and all the cement that's going down, we need more shade. So that's our purpose.
And to help with that shade, more than 200 trees went out from today's event. In Punta Gorda, city leaders also planted the first 2 red cedar trees, all to bring back the iconic tree canopies lost after Ian. The historic Punta Gorda Civic Association, working with the city's urban design, Florida Forest Service, and the Mayaca River District to replant several trees to bring back the tree canopies lost in parks. The first 2 planted near Gill and Charlotte streets today. Red cedar is known for their salt tolerance, dense foliage, and quick growth, ultimately reaching about 40 feet high.
Well, this morning, it was the Collier County Sheriff's Office turn to raise money for the Special Olympics torch run that worked its way through the county today. And really across Florida, more than 300 agencies participating in the torch run, all leading up to the Special Olympic Games. It has been a long-standing tradition for more than 40 years. Florida law enforcement has been a proud part of the Florida Special Olympics. This year, the Special Olympic World Games will be held all the way in Germany. It is the first time since the games began. They will be held there, and the Collier County Sheriff's Office is proud to take part in this torch run every year. It actually began back in 1981 in Wichita, Kansas. Agencies from all over the state of Florida have taken part ever since. The goal for this year's campaign, raise $4.5 million. Well, lawmakers are making moves to stop chaotic parties at vacation rentals.
But a question of government overreach, as some mayors along the coast say the bill still has to get reworked before it can have the proper impact. We'll hear from some of those mayors, who also notes the bill takes the power away from them to enforce the law. That's coming up.
And your boating forecast tomorrow, breezy and choppy, gusts to 25 knots. But on Sunday, rough conditions are expected with thunderstorms. We'll talk more about when that rain could impact the rest of our plans next.
Well, the battle against inflation far from over tonight. That is what economists on Capitol Hill are saying after a recent report from the Bureau of Economic Analytics. More evidence showing that the Fed has more to do in its fight against these runaway prices. Fox Business correspondent Grady Trimble has more from Capitol Hill tonight.
High inflation underscored by grim financial data Friday, a key index of inflation that the Federal Reserve closely follows not performing as they'd like. The core personal consumption expenditures, or PCE price index, rose 4.6% from a year earlier, far above the Fed's 2% target. This index can account for changes in how people shop when inflation jumps. It can also capture when consumers shift away from pricey brands in favor of less expensive generic brands.
Definitely have made adjustments, to make it work. I think I am adaptable, and also I'm working with a budget.
Many customers say they gauge inflation based on the price of their groceries, and the PCE index showed that food prices dropped 0.2% from February to March.
I've definitely noticed that there is a steep rise a little bit a while ago, but I've honestly been noticed the prices going down a little bit recently with certain items. I need to eat, right? And I'm going to eat every day, and so whatever the cost is, I'm paying it.
Underlying inflation pressures could see the Federal Reserve raising interest rates again next week.
This is a path we don't want to be on. What we're barreling toward is what they call stagflation, maybe worse.
Consumer spending didn't change in March, but that data won't do much to ease the Fed's fears. On Capitol Hill, Grady Trimble, Fox Business.
It is a part and element of living here full-time. Loud parties, parking violations from people who are renting those vacation homes.
Yeah, we've heard from owners about this before, and this is why lawmakers presented and even advanced a bill that would change how some cities oversees vacation rentals. This bill actually passed in the Senate last night. So here's what it will do. Lawmakers who wrote the bill say it is designed to wrangle unruly guests who rent VRBOs or Airbnb units. These lawmakers say it is a problem that's been present in coastal communities across our state for years now. But now senators like Nick Deglice from Pinellas County says that they think the bill would give local government tools to address problems that rentals are creating by making a registration process here, as well as punishments for property owners whose renters violate a local government's noise or parking or trash ordinance. But not all cities are aboard on this plan.
What tools are you giving us? Because we feel like they're taking away our tools.
And that's the mayor of Indian Rocks Beach near Clearwater. She's one of the mayors battling against the new bill, saying it restricts the power local governments do have. The mayor of nearby Reddington Beach says the bill is too broad, so all rentals are subject to the new enforcement tools and not just the more transient vacation rentals.
So short-term rental is regulated the same way a residential home would be regulated.
So that mayor says he thinks the bill would do the opposite of what it's intended to do and may cause even more out-of-control parties and more issues for neighbors. The bill still has to go through a House vote before it can take effect.
All right, take a look at this. This is a hero from Cape Coral who's looking out for the little guys. We're talking about the real little guys here. This is Officer Hanley with Cape Coral Police, and she is holding a burrowing owl in her hands as she helped out today after getting a call that the owl had injured its leg. Officer Hanley stepped in, brought him to a treatment center, and it's really a big relief, especially after some disturbing video we saw earlier this week of a lawnmower going over a burrowing owl's nest, knowing just how iconic and how protected they are in our state, and they're so unique to us right here in Southwest Florida, especially Cape Coral.
And we're just hoping they don't get rained on as well either, as we're watching, seeing those storms coming through. Fox 4 certified meteorologist Katie Walls joining us.
And the good news is that for those of you heading out this evening, not really worried about the wet weather, but over the weekend, that's when those rain chances will be going up. This time tomorrow night, for example, we'll start to be tracking that rain coming in. Some storms this time tomorrow night could be on the strong side. I'll show you that in just a minute. First, though, it's dry, it's humid, and here we are looking at a cloudy sky from Tarpon Lodge. Overall, though, pleasant conditions for those of you heading out this evening. And we've been watching wave after wave of energy roll in close to Southwest Florida, but fizzle out from the Gulf of Mexico. So this is, I think, wave number 4 now that I have watched here over the last 24 hours get closer and then basically fizzle out before it actually comes on shore. So we have the cloud debris from it. We have the clouds from those little waves of energy, but not really much in the way of rainfall right now. Could see a spotty sprinkle, for example, that little shower right there trying to work its way into the Cape Hayes Peninsula, but that's about it. So I have a 20% rain chance in the mix for the evening. Otherwise, we can expect mostly cloudy skies, temperatures staying warm and humid. 80 degrees at 9 and 10 o'clock and staying in the upper 70s at 11 and midnight. So quiet for now, but looking ahead to tomorrow. Most plans for tomorrow will be just fine. It's after 6 p.m. After 6 p.m. tomorrow evening, please stay weather aware. That's when we'll see the greatest threat for strong to severe storms moving through. And also heading into Sunday, looks like it's going to be a pretty active day, even starting as early as sunrise. We'll have showers and storms on radar. That's all associated with the cold front that's going to be coming through on Sunday evening. Tomorrow's going to be breezy. We'll have gusts at 25 miles per hour. On Sunday, we'll have gusts in the mid-30s. So very gusty winds are expected on Sunday despite any storms. So that's on the plus. That's in addition to the gusty winds we could see from those thunderstorms. But as for this evening, just a 20% rain chance in the mix. Clouds gradually thinning out overnight. Could start off with some areas of fog depending upon that humidity for tomorrow morning. Otherwise, the first half of your Saturday, just fine for outdoor plans. It's going to be a hot day. Please mind that heat. We'll see heat index values climb up toward 98 degrees. Best chance for showers and storms around 3 p.m. will be inland, Hendry and Glades. And then right here at 6 o'clock. That's when those showers and storms will start to work their way in. As of right now, we're expecting a convective system, a convective complex to be coming in from the north and west. In so doing, pushing through southwest Florida could impact some of those outdoor dinner plans tomorrow evening. So just be ready to pivot just in case. But these storms will be capable of your typical lightning, heavy downpours, but in some of the stronger cells, we could see gusty, damaging winds. That threat is with us basically from 6 to 10 p.m. on Saturday. And then Sunday morning, we'll be starting off with yet more wet weather. This is 7 a.m. But as of right now, our models clear out most of that wet weather by the afternoon time frame. So for tomorrow, evening storms in the mix, staying breezy up to 92 degrees we go. It's going to be feeling more like the upper 90s. And then looking ahead to your Sunday, that cold front comes in. Behind it, it's going to be feeling great with sunshine and lower humidity on Monday.
The number of Parkinson's cases is on the rise. This Parkinson's Awareness Month, I'm looking into why. That's coming up in today's Your Healthy Family.
April is Parkinson's Awareness Month. Parkinson's is a progressive disease of the nervous system that can impact a person's ability to move and talk. And in today's Your Healthy Family, I'm looking into why the disease is on the rise.
In reality, this is really a health crisis.
Larry Sternberg is a retired physician whose wife has Parkinson's disease.
Parkinson's disease is not a death sentence. People can live very fruitful and productive lives with Parkinson's disease.
A message of hope he wants to share as the number of Parkinson's cases continues to steadily rise. Right now, it's the second leading neurodegenerative disease in our country, only behind Alzheimer's.
Our estimates that relate to the number of people that are afflicted with Parkinson's disease has been significantly underestimated. It's probably now 50% greater than the original estimate.
Larry tells me when looking at the data,
in Collier County and Lee County, there are about, by my estimate, 10,000 people afflicted with Parkinson's disease.
It is almost neck and neck with the number of Alzheimer's diagnoses that are happening now.
Mary Sheffel, the executive director of the Alzheimer's Association of Southwest Florida, says as of 5 years ago,
the number of Parkinson's diagnoses was expected to exceed the number of Alzheimer's diagnoses in 2030. Well, it's 2023 right now. So that's just straight down the road. Blink, hi, the day after tomorrow.
When it comes to Parkinson's disease, she says there are some genetic factors. Even environment can play a role. But she says a lot of the increase in cases is because of age. People are living longer. And here in Southwest Florida,
we skew to an older age population. So Florida, this area in general, tends to have a higher rate of Parkinson's disease.
But the Parkinson's Association of Southwest Florida is here to help for free. For more information and to see all my coverage for Parkinson's Awareness Month, head to fox4now.com/yourhealthyfamily. For Your Healthy Family, I'm Lisa Greenberg.
And fox4now.com is where you're going to want to go to get the latest on anything that you saw here on our newscast on Fox 4 News at 6 tonight.
As you're wrapping up the work week, hope you have a great Friday night. And do watch out for any storms that might be pushing through.
And make sure you watch out for us back here again at 10 o'clock.